Good afternoon, everyone. We're here at the New York State Bridge Authority meeting, the Governance Committee, July 19th. We have Commissioner Roger Higgins, Commissioner Vane Lashua, and myself regarding our meeting of today. We have, as a subject, whistleblowing policy. We had the policy that was amended, and the new amendment that we have before us have those amendments before us.
We
I'm sorry.
incorporated some editing changes.
Yes, so some editing changes into the final policy. But before we proceed with that, let's, thank you for bringing it to my attention, adopt the minutes of the previous meeting, which was February 16th.
So moved.
Second, any discussion? If not, roll call. All in favor, say aye. Regarding the whistleblower policy with those two amendments, or those two revisions, we have a copy before us. Someone make a motion to accept it with those revisions?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any other business? If not, motion to adjourn. So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Chairman, it's your...
Okay, I guess we'll go ahead and commence our regular July 19th board meeting of the New York State Bridge Authority. I'm joined at the table by Commissioner Rod Dressel, Commissioner Vane Lashua, Deputy Executive Director Tara Sullivan, Commissioner Roger Higgins, Commissioner Joe Ramalia, Commissioner Richard Gerantine, our counsel Gif Whippeck, and our Executive Director Joe Ramalia.
Joe.
That's right.
Nice.
Congratulations. Joe Ruggiero.
He's at both ends of the table.
Our first item of business.
He quick. He ran that from this end to this end.
I know we all look
Yeah,
alike.
so step down, Joe. The motion.
Our first item would be to adopt the minutes of our June 21st
So
meeting.
moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first item from Mr. Russo, the Easy Pass operating agreement.
Yes, at the June meeting of the Easy Pass Executive Management Committee, the committee voted to adopt Amendment 9 to the base operating agreement, by which we all have subscribed to. And this is to add a transaction fee, an optional transaction fee, to a full member agency who operates a service center that has private toll road operators underneath it. And the scenario, the impetus for this was in Virginia. Virginia DOT, in addition to operating a couple of their own roads, also operate their customer service center for private toll road operators. And between the existing public entities, the current relationship under the operating agreement is that the agencies don't charge each other for interoperability, don't charge each other a surcharge or an additional transaction fee. But for the private operators that are members of the IAG, they currently do. Like the Chicago Skyway is currently a member of the Easy Pass group, and if an agency wants a transaction fee from them for processing, they have the right to ask for that.
Like the Albany County Airport and things like.
Yeah, well, that Albany County Airport falls under the public.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is more where these 3 Ps are coming into play, like the Chicago Skyway. So we have an amendment that currently deals with a private member agency. And that's Amendment 6. So this amendment mirrors that amendment for the public entity who has basically an umbrella contract with a private entity underneath it. And so, I mean, it's kind of sounds like a complicated item, but if a home agency chooses to enact that transaction fee, then then it's reciprocal. The other entity can also ask for a similar transaction fee.
And the main point of this was that this really doesn't apply to
Right.
us in New York. We're just approving this as a member of
Right,
the.
right,
the
because it's
IAG.
part of the operating agreement, and the board did approve the original operating agreement. Since it's being amended, we're asking that you adopt the amendment. It has, yeah, it doesn't have an effect on the bridge authority.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Get you off the hook.
All right, thanks.
It doesn't apply to us. We don't want it. I'm reminded that we're also going to amend our agenda to add under new business item D, which is to enter into an agreement with Office of Parks concerning some repairs on the walkway bridge. So I don't know if we have to get approval to amend the agenda, or we just.
Yeah, you should.
Is there approval to amend the agenda?
Move to
Yeah.
amend the agenda?
All in favor? Aye. Okay. So now we get to Mr. Moreau.
Very good. Well, first up is a small assignment for a project here on the Mid-Hudson Bridge campus. We want to upgrade the HVAC equipment in this building, as well as the Mid-Hudson office building and the old admin building in Poughkeepsie. There is some asbestos involved with these old heating systems, so we'd like to bring in a consultant with an environmental capacity to help us manage that properly. So Port Albert is a woman-owned business. The assignment is under $10,000, so we normally wouldn't even have to bring it to you, but we'd like to just move this project along by awarding this as a WBE contract as part of our goal for the overall project.
So moved. Second.
What's this person do? Just stand there and see to it that the employee's got a respirator on, got the proper gloves?
Well, there's some specifications that we'll put into our RFP for the contractor to follow. He's got to talk to the Department of Labor, do a containment structure. Air monitoring goes on before and after the work. So this consultant will just make sure all those steps get done right. It's not something we're familiar with here, so
All in favor?
thank you. Next up, there's actually two agreements with CSX, the railroad. We have work over the railroad here at the walkway over the Hudson on the steel repair project, as well as work over the railroad at Newburgh with the repainting for the north span. So these are agreements for CSX to actually provide us with flagging services when we happen to be working directly over the tracks. So the amount here is an estimated budget amount not to exceed, and we'll just use CSX flaggers on call. We'll probably come out below these estimates, but this is what CSX thought it would take to oversee, so it's somewhat non-negotiable.
So we're
We'll just
working up
be-
here on the bridge structure.
Right.
And the track's down here. What exactly are the flags? So,
Well, especially at Newburgh, we're actually building a containment tent, if you will, around the structure. So there's cables that get strung, then there's deck platform components that get connected to the cables, then the tarps. So anything that's going on could fall
They're flagging on the rail
to
line.
the
so they're
tracks.
there to close the rail line in case any of our stuff falls into
Right.
the path of the
Exactly.
train.
Right. And
So
then,
moved. Second. The contract
All in
has
favor?
notification.
Well, both resolutions.
Yes.
yeah, we could take them.
There's two resolutions.
Right, both, on both.
Thanks.
Okay, what's the difference between the two?
One's addressing,
One's
One-
on
Two different
Walkway,
projects.
one's on Walkway.
Oh, I see.
Two projects.
Okay, the first resolution on the Newburgh Beacon Bridge. Is there a motion? So moved. Second?
Second.
Aye. Second one on the walkway over the Hudson. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Thank you. And then finally, our jobs in progress report. We're underway here at Mid-Hudson on the east approach. We started working tonight on Tuesday. Of course, the walkway over the Hudson steel repairs and the Newburgh painting projects are well underway. And everybody's on schedule.
Just point out that the walk over Hudson's 4 May,
$4 million in steel repairs, plus anything else we choose to.
This is a continuation on that work that we identified needed to be
I
done.
just thought I could bring it up because this is being recorded, we're just, I look at, we're only spending $190,000, that's, Lincoln, 200, only 200,000 in Kingston.
Right.
Only a million in Mid-Hudson. And then here we're starting to redeck the Newburgh Bridge. Sure, that's 22, but 20,
That's paint.
20-something million of it is all is the redecking, right?
That's paint job.
Yeah, this hasn't even gotten into that.
Yeah.
That's
Gotta add another
100 million.
digit to get to that.
Yeah, that's,
But, yeah, the walkway's getting a lot of attention this year. Finishing up.
Why is the toll going up over the walkway?
Yeah, they might double it, I hear.
Like our salaries.
Right.
It's easy pass on this.
So do we want to deal with
resolution.
out of order, the resolution for Slutsky with Bill? Is that
It's all,
engineering related?
it's
or-
engineering and it's parks, it's all one resolution authorizing us to enter into an agreement with the Parks Department as well as or authorizing the contract with Slutsky. You can do it now or under new business as you amend it. It doesn't matter.
Okay, we don't really need to bring Bill back. I think we've already been explaining how we're dealing with that one, so we'll go ahead and deal with that.
But I still need a resolution on the
Motion.
jobs and
Motion
Motion.
for the Johnson.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Don't leave the table
But
until
I'm
we
right
give you
here.
that resolution.
That's right.
But I'm here on the new business.
Bill, something else, who's the response? When I was coming north of Route 9, and fortunate enough I know to get over in the left lane, but the tree, who's in charge of cutting some trees back? You can't see the sign well. That gives
The
you
VMS
direction
sign?
to get on to our bridge, to the Mid-Hudson Bridge. There's a tree growing out of the media there, the center media, and it blocks the arrow showing people, any strangers about getting off to the left side to,
Well, that's of course,
The left-hand ramp.
yeah,
Coming
right.
off of Route
I was
9
coming
to
this
access the
way,
bridge.
and I got my left lane, so I can come right around, come up, and if I didn't know,
Okay.
that tree has grown right out, the limbs have grown right out and blocking the sign.
That would be
Yeah.
$4 million.
I'll let them know.
That would be DOT, right?
Yeah.
DOT.
Yeah.
I think it's DOT.
I think they ought to be
Bill will-
contacted, because
Bill will
Roll call.
Will do. Thank you, sir. All right.
Financial, Mr. Bushek.
Okay, the first item up is the monthly investment report, the month of June. There were 5 investments, the routine debt service, a couple of the maintenance reserve, as we increase the balance there, increase from the tolls, 1 reinvestment from the construction fund, and 1 maturity out of the insurance fund. On the next page, you will see those investments reflected at the end of the month in the public funds interest checking. We had 1.4 million and 2.1 million in the revenue fund of tolls waiting to be pushed through to the other funds. On the next page, you'll see that in May we had an increase in the yield. This is the first month in which we had all of the proceeds from the 2012 series bonds, and although it dropped our yield percentage down significantly, we still saw an improvement over April as we had the full month as opposed to only the partial month.
So even though the rate's much lower, because the volume, the principal's so large, it's not going to have an impact on our interest, projected interest rate.
Well, our interest income itself in an absolute dollar value is increasing, as you can see, from 28,000 to 44,000 a month. Okay. However, the base investment is now about $100 million higher. Okay, so the relative percentage is now lower. It changed from month to month because in April I only had it for half the month,
Right.
whereas the investment base was there at the end of the month, so I had to consider the whole investment base even though I only had half the month worth of income. So that's why it changed from month to month.
And because that 100 million is on a short term,
The $100 million is all invested within a 3-year time frame.
which gives you the very low rates.
Right. On some of the other funds, for example, the insurance fund as well as debt service reserve fund. Debt service reserve fund, I can run it out to 5 years from the point in time I invest it. Insurance fund, there really is no requirement. Everything else that we have is invested relatively short-term as we recover from the end of the toll cycle that we just ended. But yes, the vast majority of the money is invested short-term because we were required to go and expend the bond proceeds within 36 months of obtaining them.
We don't need arbitrage issues.
Not that we would have them now, but yes, agreed, we don't need arbitrage issues.
Is there a motion on this? Second. On favor?
Okay, and I apologize for the next item, the insurance. There was a last-minute correction associated with someone was on vacation, and if you please pass that around. For the insurance renewals, wait till you get it in front of you. It only related to the commercial package. The rest of them, the rest of the document remains the same. Effectively, last year we had gone out with these three coverages: the umbrella and excess liability, business automobile, and commercial package. We had structured the RFP to renew for 3 years if we received substantially the same rates. Going through them one by one, the umbrella and excess liability. That one we saved considerably in 2011. It's gone up a slight bit, approximately 5%. In 2012, we've seen some of that increase associated with the increased volumes in projected tolls and things of that nature. It's still a substantial savings over 2010, 2011. The next item, business automobile, what we're seeing there is just across the board. We're seeing the markets increase. In both the umbrella and the business automobile, I had asked the brokers to look out into the market and see if they could give us a better deal, and both of them came back saying no. The third renewal would be commercial package. This is the number that had changed in your sheet that you originally had. It was approximately $41,000. It's been dropped to $39,981. Essentially, we had an increase of 6.3%, but a good portion of this relates to a 5% increase in the appraisal values of all the buildings associated with the construction index. And then we would have one placement. In May, we circulated an RFP for public officials and employment practices liability insurance. In addition to publishing on our website, the New York State Contract Register, we also conducted an outreach to 25 MWBE firms. 3 firms inquired regarding the RFP. One of those communicated their carriers would not propose, and one firm actually proposed, and it happens to be the same firm that we were using before, and it would then be a renewal. It's the same broker and carrier. Okay, and they're proposing $32,643.
So there's small increases in all these, and a couple of the coverages were still significantly under the year before we went to RFPs.
That's correct. Other than really automobile, okay, actually, no, even our automobile, we went down considerably. Other than, per commercial package, we're really lower than we were when we went out to RFP.
And we've got one resolution for all these placements. Is there a motion on that resolution? Second? All in favor? Aye.
Okay, the last item on here relates to the quarterly accident review committee report. Essentially, we had 73 accidents on authority facilities in the second quarter of 2012, that compared to 55 in the prior year. In 2012, we had no accidents involving authority personnel, consistent with last year. No action is required by the board.
Thanks.
Operations, Project Night Watch.
You want to do that? I discussed with them, it's on the background.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, this is the expansion of the contract
Yeah,
for Mr.
this-
Mankiewicz?
Yes,
Yeah.
Mankiewicz, yes.
In order to complete the Night Watch project, we need TED services on our end to verify what the vendor is doing in terms of the code and other issues.
Yes, we had, in this request, we've tried to add on approximately 2 months in incremental hours for TED. We are hoping to go and not utilize all of those and use some of the excess to cover the procurement and implementation of the next 2 machines.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All favor? Executive Director has no expenditures to report.
We do have on the desk related here, a chairman asked for an analysis of, since the total increase, any changes to our market share of Easy Pass versus cash. As you can see, we did 3 months worth of analysis over the prior year. And you can see that we've actually had an impact in moving some of the market share to increase for the Easy Pass users, as well as you see in some of the months an increase of those who opted to do the commuter plan versus paying the straight full fare cash. So we've actually had an impact in getting more folks to use electronic tolling devices than prior to the toll increase. The differential is in theory working. I've had conversations with the MTA. They're doing different strategies to increase market share with Easy Pass, and one of the things that they're doing, which has been one of the reasons we're sold out of Easy Pass, is that they've been selling Easy Passes right in the lane as folks are pulling into the cash lane and folks are buying Easy Pass tags. They're telling me on the weekends they're selling as much as 1,000 tags a weekend. The first couple of months of the year they sold over 60-something thousand tags, and even as large as the MTA system is with the number of tag holders are, and even with their high saturation of the market for Easy Pass, they've actually seen their numbers move up a couple percentage points, which is significant. So they're going to be sending us information regarding their Easy Pass in the lane program, and we're going to look at it and make recommendations whether or not we can implement that on our facilities as well, as to help with Easy Pass penetration issue.
From speaking with Joe, he told me they already have had the differential that we just put into effect, where it's cheaper to cross if you use the Easy Pass than if you pay cash. And theirs is much larger. Ours is just, what, a quarter? But, so it shows we tried something and it's working. And the higher we get that percentage of the Easy Pass users, the more savings we can realize that.
We're also going to be meeting with, there's a case study going on in Rhode Island. Bob has been in tune with it. We're going to be getting some more information. There's some of the different things they've done with electronic toll collection that we may want to just review and consider, and we'll be able to report back when we have more information.
And do we think that that's just an anomaly for June, that the commuter crossings actually dropped slightly?
Probably.
The other months it was higher.
School's out. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's comparing June to June,
It's
right?
comparing year over year, it's very difficult to
Oh,
tell
oh.
because of the overall decline in traffic volume, and because it's such a disproportionately high drop in commuters. But we also looked at commercial traffic. Commercial traffic was disproportionately down as well. So I'm a little reluctant to say definitively that we're seeing a drop in commuters as opposed to potentially some other factor.
So you might actually have more people who qualify for the commuter pass opting for it, but if there are just fewer people commuting because they're no longer employed across the river.
You know, there are a couple factors to consider. The commuter plan is basically an assumption that you're going to do a minimum number of trips, and everybody has to go and do a calculation and say, am I going to make enough trips to hit the break even? Before it was 9, and now it's, I think, looking at 15, it's 4 or something. So we expected some drop-off as that number grows. However, you know, what we're seeing now is it's very difficult to draw a conclusion in light of the fact 1 month we've had this decline, and it's been across a lot of categories. Yes, it was a little more here, but in commuter, but it's really, I'm reluctant to say that it's definitely that.
It's possible also now that you can get a savings by just using Easy Pass without the commuter, that maybe that's enough of a savings without locking yourself into that many crossings.
And that's just it. By doing that, you're locking yourself into more crossings now.
Also, how much is people aware the program exists? You know,
Right.
that's when we,
The commuter program?
yeah. You know, folks who have Easy Pass tags tend not to pay attention to the billing. Any other questions?
The only thing I would say was, I mean, I know we're not gonna go through total increases anytime we get soon, but having two separate tolls is, I think, clearly the way to get people to convert. You pay more if you wanna speak to a person and exchange cash with them, opposed to just whizzing through.
It is a more cost-effective transaction, Easy Pass, than the annual process.
Why do you only limit 4 tags to a name?
Well, because then they assume, anything more than 4 tags, they start to assume that you're a business. And you wouldn't, it's a whole different set of terms and conditions once you're a business.
That's in the Easy Pass regulations and contracts, right?
Yeah, it's the terms and conditions of the Easy Pass.
And we don't actually run our own Easy Pass, it's all done through DOT or the Thruway? Or
We have a contract with the Thruway.
Are they the main issuer of Easy Passes in the state?
MTA.
MTA, okay. Well,
The New York CSC has the Port Authority, the MTA, and the Thruway as its contract entities. And then we have a memorandum of understanding with the Thruway process archer.
And you say there's currently a backlog because they sold so many down at the MTA, so we wouldn't want to push people to do it now anyway. They'd have to be delayed.
Yeah, we're expecting them by the end of this month.
So it'll be another couple weeks before we have them, and we were advised today that none of the grocery stores in the area that normally everybody sold out.
Well, the other issue too is that there have been several agencies within the Easy Pass network in the other states that adopted this program. We were the first, New York was the first to sell these Easy Pass on the go, these preloaded live transponders. And through the success of the program, several other agencies throughout the 14 states are doing the same. So they're competing for the production, at the facility at the same
And the way
time.
that works is you pay the cash now, you get it, and then you can just reload it. You sign it up to get it.
Yeah,
Through
you're
your
basically,
credit card or whatever.
yeah.
But you can walk out the door with it, stick it in the window, and it works.
Right, and they're sold in grocery stores, AAA offices, car dealerships. It's a consumer item, so they can buy it and use it right away.
What's the problem? I guess I'm going back to my question for why considered a business, a whole bunch of different. Why are they picking on businesses again? If it's so, what's the difference whether a name has 4 tags, 10 tags, or
Well, there's just
whether
different.
whether it's Dry Dressel or Dressel Farms? What's the difference?
Well, there's just the businesses have different terms and conditions. They have different configuration of vehicles.
A business doesn't qualify for a commuter, right?
Right, they don't
It has to
qualify
be
for the discount plans and so forth. They issue different colored tags to the businesses. Various agencies have, their local agents, like the MTA, for instance, has its own business rules associated with commercial vehicles, and so they identify commercial vehicles with blue tags. So the white transponder, the ivory transponder, is meant to be for a privately registered, passenger vehicle. And because there are so many different entities involved with different business rules, they try to separate those, those 2 types of accounts. And it's
Anyway, okay. It's just a hassle,
So you can have 4 under your name, and then your business.
the other
can
thing
have
is there's a
another
cost,
however many.
from the agency standpoint, there's a cost
Gotta put
associated
4
with
under my wife's
administering.
name, that's all.
There's a cost associated with administering those tags, and for the private household, they figure it would be uncommon for a household to have more than 4 tags, and to administer a tag that doesn't get used is expensive. People will just take the 4 tags because they can, and then maybe only 1 or 2 tags are being used. And so, for an agency that's putting out a tag and not charging for the tag, they're not charging the customer for the tag. To put out a $25 tag is expensive when it's not being used. So that's, There are several different business reasons for why they did that.
Anything else in Easy Pass, or?
All right, so now we're heading into new business. The first item on here is Government Affairs Services with Mr. Jennings and Albany.
This is an annual contract we have, it expires this month.
Move we authorize the contract.
Second.
Is there a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
And our second item, we have an amended whistleblower policy and procedure that came out of the governance committee earlier.
Yeah, the amendments are from what was mailed out are with one contextual change, which doesn't change the substance of the policy, and some editing changes recommended by Commissioner Lashua. The governance committee recommended to the board adoption of the NYSBA whistleblower policy.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And telecommunications consultant.
Yes, we put out an RFP for telecommunications consultant services based on the fact that we're entertaining more and different options for fiber optic leasing and renewals of several of our fiber optic lease. The board some time ago authorized an agreement with Broadband Consulting Services, which basically allowed them to act as an agent for NYSBA without direct compensation to secure new contracts. We're entering a phase now where we're going to be attempting to renegotiate some existing contracts, and we wanted to get the services of the consultant to help us and advise us on the current state of the industry. What we did not want to do is put ourselves in a position where we're trying to determine who they're working for. Is the other person paying them, or are we paying them, depending on the particular contract. So on the advice of counsel, we sat and went through the process and came up with a new way of looking at this, where we would have one consultant but have two different aspects to the contract. The first aspect would be when they're working on our behalf, renegotiating an existing contract, we would pay an hourly rate, so that, their incentive is to get us the best deal on that end. When they're looking for new business or new businesses approaching us, we would then pay more on a brokerage type of arrangement, a percentage of the overall, which was what we were doing in the past indirectly. We weren't paying it, the actual vendor coming to us was paying it. We've kind of figured that if we brought all this under one contract and they were working for us in both circumstances, it would be a lot cleaner and a lot more appropriate. We wouldn't have any issues of conflicts between who the consultant was working for.
Is the idea now that this would be an incentive for this consultant to go out and look for business?
Yes, that is absolutely part of it. And they would only be compensated on that aspect of the contract upon the successful conclusion of a lease, where we actually get paid. So there's no upfront payment on that end at all. On the other end, where they're working for us on a consulting basis at our direction, they would be paid an hourly rate, was basically the way we phrased this contract. We RFP'd for a number of qualifications, including extensive experience in the industry, knowledge of NYSBA systems, etc. It's a niche field, but I was able to actually find a directory for the members in New York of the, let me get the proper name
Society
here.
Telecommunications Consultants.
Consultants, right. So we actually emailed the RFP out to all of the members that are listed as New York members. We did, in fact, receive 4 responses. 2 of the responses, unfortunately, wouldn't work on the 2-step basis. They wanted to be paid hourly directly for all of their services. And their hourly rates were amongst the highest in any event. Recommend.
Watch out, these are coming through.
That would be-
After an evaluation process, we've recommended the board award the agreement or authorize an agreement with Broadband Consulting. They were equivalent in terms of what they would charge for new business. They were slightly higher in terms of costs for consulting on an hourly basis. However, they're also regional and are very familiar with NYSBA systems. The one that was a little bit cheaper is based in Virginia, and it's a sole proprietorship. We really felt that having the person accessible to us was important. So the recommendation would be to proceed with executing an agreement with Broadband Consulting. I should note that we do not anticipate at this time that this contract would exceed the $15,000 threshold requiring board approval. However, if we were lucky enough to come back to you and say, we have a new business and they want to give us lots of money and it's going to exceed that threshold, I think, in the interest of having the board approve the concept and the agreement concept, we wanted to bring it to the board now.
Just one question about, I was reading the familiarity, I saw, it's got a heavy weight, and I was wondering if you take that away from one and put it on the other, they come out pretty close. But I just was wondering about, is that the Glenn, the person responsible for negotiating that, is that his familiarity, or is there more under the...
He's also familiar with the Hudson Valley. He's familiar with the companies in the region that are looking to expand their fiber optic networks. He has a kind of an in-depth knowledge of our facilities also. So that assists in terms of...
He's a good nose for the
Has a
lead.
good
Yeah.
opinion on that too.
And he is the person who brought us the other contracts, so we have some experience working with him. In addition, I should note that the person out of Virginia had more of an IT background than a fiber telecommunications background, so I think this more appropriately fits our need.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The last item is the one we added, which deals with authorizing the executive director to enter into an agreement with the Office of Parks and Recreation to then enter into an agreement with IOA Slutsky to do some repairs at the walk.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up? We don't need another attorney-client. No. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? All right. See you next month.
Thank you, guys.